Now moving right along to Luke. The book of Luke is 24 chapters long. Luke was you guessed it, he was a doctor, right? I don't think he had pill bottles back in his day, but he was a doctor. And being a doctor, he was very careful to accurately write out his gospel account. He's very detailed. He gives historical details. He gives geography. He detailed specific places in Jesus' ministry. I mean, he was very accurate. I really enjoy reading Luke's account because he is so specific and because it shows how historically and geographically accurate the Bible really is. And this is the heart of the Bible, the New Testament. So the book of Luke is written between the years AD 59 and 75. So once again, only a short span of time and many manuscripts to back it up. This gospel is the first of a 2-volume series. Luke wrote Luke, and then after that he writes Acts. It was written by Luke, the beloved physician and doctor and close friend of the Apostle Paul. He's a close friend of Paul. He was a Gentile. That's how he's different from these other gospel writers. Is all the other gospel writers, Matthew, Mark, and John, they're all Hebrews, speaking to Hebrews, but Luke was a Gentile. So, of course, when we read the book of Luke, we need to keep that in mind. Luke wants to show not just the divinity of Christ, but his humanity, his humanness. And also he wants to show how Jesus is reaching out not only to Jews, which he does in his ministry, but Luke wanted to show how Jesus, or Yeshua, reached out to the lost nations, to women, to children, to Gentiles who became believers later. And so this is a very strong proof, the Gospel of Luke, that he was the Son of God, because the Son of God wouldn't just reach out to one type of people, just Mexicans or just Jews, but to all nations. And Luke was a Gentile. He was a very conscientious student. He was a detailed writer and a man of integrity. And Luke set out to take time in recording a thorough research and record. Actually, the book of Luke is the most complete, most historical record of the life and ministry of Jesus Christ. Luke's testimony is powerful and confident, and that can only come from careful study of what God's Word really says, and only through personal discovery of God's truth. Now, you know how many times Luke quoted the Old Testament? 58 times. That's right, 58 times he quoted the Old Testament. Once again, tying together the prophecies to what was happening in his days, in the miracles he's seen. What was the ulterior motive for Luke's writing? Was he trying to lie and make Jesus out to be something more than he was? No. Here's what Luke's purpose was. Luke wrote his book because he was concerned that there had not yet been recorded an adequate or sufficient telling of all that the life and death of Jesus had fulfilled. And he talks about this in the very beginning of his book in Luke 1, verses 1 through 4. Those who had seen Jesus in the flesh or were eyewitnesses to Jesus' ministry were starting to become fewer and fewer. They're starting to dwindle away. So Luke set out this orderly account, the Gospel of Luke. He wanted to show that Jesus had come to seek and to save those who were lost. That's what he wrote in Luke 19:10. Jesus came to seek and to save the lost. And not just a select few people, not 144,000, not a select bunch of people, but all nations, a multitude without number, and all nations. And over all these nations, Luke wanted to show that Jesus was Lord of all. And last